Hey, wrestling fans. Welcome to One Winged Wrestling, where we help you navigate the complex world of pro wrestling, bringing you the best matches, world class wrestlers, and news you can count on. At One Winged Wrestling, we bring the elite to you. My name is Bill Cutbush, and I am flying solo because someone is, well, he's saying he's stuck in public transit, but who really knows what he's doing? Hiding in closets again? Practicing singing songs? I don't know. All I know is he's not here. So normally I would say, "Hey man, what's up? How's it going?" Well, I'm just going to assume it's going miserably because anyone who's currently stuck in public transit, yeah, probably not the most hot day of the entire year. You know what I mean? But anyway, we've had a beautiful day here in the sunny area of Toronto, and I'm ready to get into some wrestling with all of you. And as you know, it's Wednesday, which means it is time for AEW Dynamite. So tonight, as always, we'll provide our thoughts and expectations on the show. Well, I will provide my thoughts and expectations. And if Krishna manages to get his way out of the morass of public transit, he will also be joining us. So until then, we'll see what happens. But we'll give our expectations, what's good, what's bad, you know, our potential match of the night. We're going to watch the show. We're going to return here, see if our expectations were met or exceeded. And most importantly, we'll discover if anything at all in that show will reach the all important Omega level. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So, I'm going to go through the card in a moment. But as always, I'd just like to remind you all, if you guys like what you're listening to, please give us that 5-star review, give us that like, give us the subscribe on YouTube. Every little bit helps us out to continue to bring you the content that we do. And we are truly appreciative of each and every one of you that listens to our stuff. So, anyway, going to AEW Dynamite tonight, it is coming to us. This is the Revolution Go Home show, and it's coming to us from the Cow Palace in San Francisco, California. And we've got a few matches on the card tonight. One thing I've noticed is I don't see a whole lot of talking. I mean, we are going to get apparently the confrontation between MJF and Bryan Danielson. So we're going to see how that rolls out tonight. Um, I think it'll just be more back and forth personally. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, MJF stuff has been decent. It hasn't sucked. It's just been decent. Bryan Danielson, his stuff's really good too. I'm looking forward to the match um, to a certain point. I'm looking forward to seeing how Bryan Danielson will carry MJF through 60 minutes of wrestling. But beyond that, we shall see. But yeah, this segment tonight, I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be. That's really all I can say about it. Anyway, we do have some matches though. First up, I'm going to talk about Hook taking on Matt Hardy for the FTW Championship. Now, this match came about because the lawyer guy, whose name is suddenly not in my human consciousness. Um, oh my God, Mark Sterling. There we go. Mark Sterling got to pick anybody in his group that he wanted to face Hook, and Matt Hardy is the guy. Now, if Matt Hardy loses this match against Hook, Hook gets to face Mark Sterling in the ring. So we will see what happens. I'm going to say Hook's winning this match, obviously, because he's going to get to face Mark Sterling in the ring, because I think that's just where these things go. I'm not sold on why Hook and Mark Sterling have such a rivalry. Um, there's not a lot of backstory to this. This just seems to be a way to get Hook on TV and get him to do things against people to make him over. I'm kind of hoping this involves more of like the Matt Hardy storyline than anything else, but I kind of don't think it's going to. I think this is going to be really focused on Hook doing Hook things, which really isn't a whole huge amount. I think it'll be a very short match too. I can't see this going on very long at all. So we will see what happens. We do have Toni Storm taking on Riho. I get a feeling this will be more a warm-up match for Toni Storm, but what I'm hoping is that she really needs to cheat to win, because Riho is great in the ring. I love Riho. Toni Storm, well, you guys know how I feel. Wasn't so great when she first got to AEW, has been improving of late. Um, I'm hoping for a good match here. I can't see this being like, okay, so if I think that the Matt Hardy Hook match is probably going to be, the worst match of the night, which it probably is, Yeah, this is probably second, right? So what do we got? We got one, two, three, four, five announced matches. And oh no, six now because we also have an All Atlantic Championship match to add to this. So out of six, I would say the FTW one six, Toni Storm versus Riho five. I would place the next match after that, Chris Jericho versus Pretty Peter Avalon fourth. This has the ability though to be fourth because it could be funny as hell. Chris Jericho versus Peter Avalon could be seriously funny. It might also only go 2 seconds. It could also just be interrupted by Ricky Starks because I don't see Ricky Starks on this card anywhere. So, yeah, Chris Jericho versus Pretty Peter Avalon. I mean, it could also be number six. These bottom three, it's just going to depend on how the matches go, right? I mean, I like Chris Jericho a lot. I thought it was so funny last week when the open challenge happened and Peter Avalon came out. I don't know why this doesn't happen more with open challenges. Just all these guys, like I said last week, waiting there backstage, waiting to come out for these challenges. But yeah, anyway, Chris Jericho versus Pretty Peter Avalon. Chris Jericho's going to win, going to be a squash. That's about it. Then we have three. Well, then we have Orange Cassidy taking on Big Bill for the AEW All Atlantic Championship. Now, I think Orange Cassidy is going to win this. At least he better win this because I really don't think Big Bill walking around with the All Atlantic Championship is a very good idea. Is this going to set up something though for Orange Cassidy at the pay per view? Maybe. Maybe Orange Cassidy versus Ethan Page again. I don't know. I don't really care if that's the match. Like, yeah, none of that does anything for me. I'd like to see Orange Cassidy take on someone with, really good skills like he has. I mean, Big Bill's fine, and Orange Cassidy's going to beat him, but I kind of don't care about this match, right? I'll just enjoy me some Orange Cassidy and call it a day. But yeah, I think this match, though, just given the fact that Orange Cassidy's in it and it doesn't look like a total squash match, will probably be match number three on the night. So then we have the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal. So this will be done under casino rules where, the four suits each come in intervals. And then presumably we'll have a wild card. Not sure. But anyway, the teams that I have seen, I am basing this, I haven't seen an actual list. I'm basing this entirely on the graphic that is currently posted on AEW's Instagram page. So the teams in the Casino Battle Royal seem to be very similar to the teams that were in the Battle Royal last week, which is kind of puzzling to me. We've got, Rush and Preston Vance, La Faccion and Ingobernable. Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis making another appearance. Jericho Appreciation Society, Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, Butcher and the Blade, the Best Friends, Trent Beretta, Chuck Taylor. But we do have the Blackpool Combat Club, who wasn't there last time, Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli. But we also have the Lucha Brothers, Ray Phoenix and Penta El Zero Miedo. Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin, and the Dark Order, John Silver and Alex Reynolds. So that seems to be your lineup. Very, very similar to last week. So it's like these teams all get another chance. I'm gonna say that based on what they've been doing, best friends are gonna win this time. Yeah, sure, why not? The best friends are winning it because I guess they'll sync the best with the three other teams they've got going in that match. I don't know. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, Aussie Open's gonna take it. I would love them to win. But then again, if Aussie Open's going to wrestle on the pay per view, I'd want it to be against three teams that are not the three teams that are currently in that four-way match. It's almost like winning this Casino Tag Team Battle Royal puts you in a match I'm not so sure I care about even watching on the pay per view. So I kind of hope none of the teams I love get in there. So let's go with if I really had to hope. Look, and I really like the Butcher and the Blade too. It's like all 8, 9 of these teams that are in here, I literally like better than any of the teams that are currently in the tag team match at Revolution. All of these teams. I would rather watch the Blackpool Combat Club, Best Friends, Butcher and the Blade, any of them. They're all better teams. Matt Menard and Angelo Parker 2.0. They're great, right? I mean, they're not like Aussie Open great. They're not Young Bucks great. They're not Lucha Bros great, but they're great. Yeah, any of these teams, any of these guys. Like, can we just take 4 of these teams and then put them out there for the tag team championship? I'd be happy with that. Any 4 of these teams would make a great 4-way for the belts. And why not? Why not? Why do I have to sit through the stuff I'm going to have to sit through on the pay-per-view? I don't know. I know everybody loves the Acclaim. The merchandise sells like crazy. I get it. I understand. I really do. And I see why people like them. I'm just not one of them. And I never will be unless something strange happens to me. I've just never liked acts like this in my entire wrestling life. So, you know, I'm just not going to be enjoying this. And I mean, that's fine. But this battle royal, I'll bet it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, this brings us to the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Now, the winner of this ladder match gets a shot at the TNT title currently held by Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe will be on commentary for this match. So, the Face of the Revolution ladder match has Konosuke Takeshita, Santana, the debuting Komander, who we talked about on Monday on our show, Action Andretti, Sammy Guevara, Powerhouse Hobbs, Eddie Kingston, and AR Fox. Guys, what a lineup. Like, seriously, these names, Takeshita, Komander, Action Andretti, Sammy Guevara, right? AR Fox. And then you put a couple of bases in, like Santana's a great wrestler. Eddie Kingston is just nuts. And you put a base in there like Powerhouse Hobbs, too. This ladder match could be completely and utterly insane. And I really hope it's the main event on the show. I really, really do. Because holy crap, the names in this ladder match are just not. This is my match of the night. I cannot see how you can put these guys in a ring with a ladder, a bunch of ladders, and a chance at a title and not have a match of the night. I just don't get it. So I'm so happy this match is happening because I think it's going to be the best thing on this card. You know, a lot of the stuff on this card, Hook, Matt Hardy, Toni Storm, Riho. I love Riho, so I really hope that one's good. Jericho, Peter, Avalon. I'm just kind of like, okay, these are good. These are decent. I mean, you know, it's AEW, so they'll be fine, right? Casino Tag Team Battle Royal. I'm sure it's good. It's just the result I don't care about because I don't care about that match at Revolution. Um, so yeah, this match could easily and should easily and will easily be the match of the night on this show. I can't see another thing. I will guarantee you. Here's what I think. Krishna, unfortunately, I did not get a list of Krishna's predictions, but here's what I think he's going to say. Hook's going to beat Matt Hardy, and he's not going to care about this match any more than I do. Toni Storm and Riho, he'll be like, yeah, it could be decent, and Riho's great. Jericho versus Avalon, I'm sure he'd have similar comments to mine. Comedy match. He's going to call the Face of the Revolution ladder match of the night. And Casino Tag Team Battle Royal, I'll bet you money he agrees with everything I just said. He doesn't always, but I'll bet he did this time. So, yeah, MJF and Bryan Danielson too. They are, yep, we're just going to hear from them. So, yeah, that's fine. Anyway, that is tonight's Dynamite card. I'm going to go watch the show. Hopefully, Krishna makes it back to watch the show because that would be highly convenient. Otherwise, you guys are going to have to listen to me talk about these matches all by my little lonesome after the show. And, well, I don't think you want that necessarily. Anyway, you guys enjoy the show. I'll be back, hopefully, with Krishna. And it'll seem like I was never gone. And that was not only Dynamite, it was also us managing to find one Mr. Krishna Denai, who seems to be out of public transit hell. So I can only assume it was hell. I mean, it's public transit, right? So,
not too bad. Not too bad. It's just, yeah, as you said, just public transit, right?
yep.
So, not the greatest either.
Well, I did all your predictions for you. So,
I hope you got it right. I hope you got them all right.
well, we shall see, won't we? So anyway, AEW, like I said earlier, it's the Revolution Go Home show from the Cow Palace in San Francisco with Taz, Toni, and Excalibur on commentary as usual. And we open up with the All Atlantic Championship match between Orange Cassidy and Big Bill. Orange Cassidy continues to have the best entrance video in wrestling.
It's so good.
It is so good. So Cassidy starts off the match playing cat and mouse with Big Bill. The match finally gets going with Orange Cassidy using agility to dodge him until Bill catches him and nails a sidewalk slam and eventually boots him off the apron to the floor where the beatdown continues. Cassidy escapes the first attempt by Bill to chokeslam him through the timekeeper table, but he gets caught on an orange punch from the steps, and Bill drives him through the table. He brings Cassidy back in the ring several times, only to toss him back out. This brings Danhausen to ringside, who basically does nothing. Back in the ring, Bill delivers a delayed vertical suplex, then ragdolls Cassidy with a full Nelson. Bill tries to set Cassidy up for a big boot. I would like to pause here for a minute and say, Tony Storm, please watch how Orange Cassidy ragdolls, or how Orange Cassidy is ragdolled in a full Nelson by Big Bill. Just keep that in mind, okay? Tries to set Cassidy up for a big boot, but Cassidy drops to the mat twice. They look like his kind of like, oh, oops, I'm falling to the mat drops. Stokely smashes Danhausen on the outside with the cast, but then Orange Cassidy hits a tope suicida to Bill and Hathaway. Then two orange punches to Big Bill, one on the back, one on the leg, drop kicks him into the steps, brings him back in the ring, lands the Stun Dog Millionaire, float over DDT, two orange punches. Big Bill still won't go down. He then goes to the top, delivers an orange punch from the top rope, covers Bill for the 3. Krishna, what did you think?
Um, so it's really tough because like after last week with the match Orange Cassidy and Yuta put on, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
really hard to judge his matches like, properly going forward. This was a good match. It was good, but obviously you can't compare it to what happened last week. It was good. This was a good showing of like big versus small, kind of like David versus Goliath, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, I was laughing when Cassie just kept dodging everything. He just kept rolling outside. I'm like, smart, smart move with Big Bill and Cassidy. Again, you're right. Danhausen didn't do anything really, so like I didn't understand his purpose. Um, yeah, but yeah, I mean, it was good. I liked it. I didn't love it. You know what I mean? Like again, maybe it's my me being spoiled from last week, but it's better than most matches that I've seen. So like I'm looking at the list that I was putting together, and I'm like, what order did I put this in? Because at first I was like, why did I put this match so low? But then I'm like, it it it's kind of like I have a favorite match tonight, and then everything else was kind of good, right? But I kind of put this on the top of the kind of good part. So like, okay, so seeing how I make a decision here, I'm gonna put it as match number.
We have 6 matches again.
I know. The match number 3. I'm gonna put it right in the middle. Put it right in the middle.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah,
3.
yeah.
Nice. Okay. So I'm giving it. Yeah, I guess I got to think about that, right?
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, cuz yeah. No, I'm you know what? I'm gonna have to give it match number 3 as well. Right, which
Just
brings it up
yeah.
from what I predicted.
Same, same. I predicted lower
mm,
too, and then I was like, oh, okay.
I
It's
said that both of us would look at. I said basically you had very similar opinions to me before the show. I
mhm,
said both of us would look at this match as this will probably be pretty good,
yeah,
and that's about it.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. It was good. I mean, this is like a 3.25 star match,
Mhm,
probably somewhere in that neighborhood, right? I mean, good story. I
mhm.
enjoyed it. It's like you know how you get like last week we got like a pizza with perfect cheese and
Yep.
perfect sauce, and this week we got a pizza and it was good and I enjoyed it. But not every pizza can be that perfect one with the cheese melted just right on it and stuff. So this was a good pizza. I liked it. I didn't love it. So I'm with you
Yeah.
on that. Yeah.
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 I
But I
liked
mean,
it,
I
but
don't have to
yeah.
love every match. I still
True.
enjoyed it. I liked this look. I liked the story. Big Bill played his role well, right? Threw him around quite a bit. I mean, Danhausen's only role is to get hit with a cast. Um,
Yeah.
and that was fine. So whatever. But
I must say that Big Bill or Big Cass, whatever you want to call him, he's being utilized so much better
oh
in
yeah.
AEW than he was ever in WWE. So just by saying that, I'm like, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to that. I was like, he's doing so much better here. So
Well, yeah. I
good
mean,
on him.
the guy can actually wrestle, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's got for his size, he's got the move set that fits him, right?
Hmm.
He knows how to emote in the ring, right? He knows how to like his expressions and stuff are good. He's not the best ever, but he's good. I don't dislike the guy. I like him a lot more now than when he was first introduced, and I went, "Why is this guy in AEW?" He does a decent job. So He's also got 13 years of wrestling experience now. It just blew my mind when I heard that.
Well, I mean, that blows your mind. But when you hear the other stats later on in the night, you're like, what? This doesn't make any sense about a
Oh no,
certain
it
somebody
totally
else.
made sense to me. I'm like, no, of course that makes sense. But
I
we'll
was like,
get to that when we
what?
get there.
Yeah.
Yes. So they then recap Mox versus Evil Uno from last week, and Mox cut a promo after the match.
Mhm.
Blood still running down. You could see it was still like it was actually still bleeding for the love
Yeah.
of God. So he's got blood running down his face on a set of steps in the back, and he's like, his blood tastes like victory and life. He's a sick man. He does it because he likes it. It's not something to aspire to. He lives for this shit. He's not the kind of guy you want to go down a dark alley with. I mean, and who does Hangman think is going to come out? Mox comes back from a concussion and beats Hangman. When Hangman did it, he got flowers. But when Mox does it, they say it was a fluke. It didn't count. And he says, that's what I'd say too if I got beat by a wrestling move I learned in seventh grade. Burn. Hangman, you're a great wrestler and a great man, but you are not the same animal as me. There's only room for one of these animals in AEW, and I will die to protect what's mine. What'd you think?
It's Mox. So like it's his promos and they're always awesome. Like they're always like crazy and um it's weird because I know what we said. Like Mox, he doesn't need to play a good guy or bad guy, but regardless, Mox is a good guy. Like that's it. It doesn't matter. Mox is a good guy. It doesn't matter. He's always gonna be a good guy because that's not now how he's built, right? For MF, because you can't separate wrestling and his real life anymore because they kind of commingled. But after everything he went through, and he kind of succeeded. He's a good guy. As much as he tries to be a bad guy, he's a good guy, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
kind of twists things when you think about the Blackpool Combat Club now and where they're going, right? If you're like, wait a minute, are these guys bad guys? What's going on here, right? So yeah, I love that. I love this promo. It's when we get to the Hangman promo, you can tell like how good Mox is at delivering things because I get what Hangman is trying to say eventually. Like we'll get to that, but just Mox is just so good because he's so raw, like Eddie Kingston. No
Mm-hmm.
wonder they're friends. But like it just always comes off as genuine and not scripted, right?
Yep.
And that's the big thing. It doesn't sound
Yep.
scripted.
Well,
So
that's also
yeah.
because the whole bleeding thing in Moxie, you read his book and he actually does get a charge out of this stuff. Like it's just crazy. So, and he's right, he's nuts, but he's a good kind of nuts. He's the kind of nuts I will cheer for. So, yep. And well, then Carry On Wayward Son hits. And the lights go out immediately. Retribution, I mean, the House of Black arrives.
House Black yells, Retribution, turn off lights,
Yep.
turn it off.
And then the lights go out, and there's a bunch of fighting noises. And then you see, the two scientists come out of the closet, wiping their hands and walking off down the hall. If anyone doesn't get that, I think that was either Family Guy or American Dad reference. I can't remember which one, but it's one of those. Anyway, yeah, no, the House of Black beat down the elite. The elite's just lying on the stage. The House of Black has the belts. That was it. It was about, I don't know, 30 seconds long.
Now I'm gonna say, just a reminder to everyone, and you probably mentioned this earlier. Um, this is the go home show
Mm-hmm.
for the pay-per-view they're building.
Yes.
And we've talked about for a while now what the hell is going on with storylines and stuff like that. This
Mm-hmm.
is what happens when you rush storylines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. But at what point did we ever think the House of Black were a threat to the elite? At what point? After the elite went through 7 grueling matches with the Death Triangle, and then they've had all those other matches with everyone else, and then I'm sorry, then House of Black wrestling on Dark and Elevation. When did we ever think they were a threat to the elite? So this is Tony Khan again trying his hardest due to his own mistakes to retcon this, that suddenly the House of Black is a threat to the elite. Really?
And we know that Tony Khan knows how to build people into threats, as we will discuss later. But you are 100% correct. The only match that we've seen on big stages with the House of Black recently, they lose them all.
They lose that. Exactly.
So it's like, who are these guys? And then we get all these wonderful little snippets, you're the problem with this business, and these little snippets of potential promos and stuff. Like, remember last week they said on was it Dynamite? They're like, we're gonna come out on Rampage and have a little discussion with
Mhm.
them, and then it was just lights on, lights off, lights on, lights off. And that was apparently how they discuss things in some kind of weird light code or something, because they never actually
Oh my
opened their
God.
mouths.
Are they talking in Morse code? Are they
Maybe.
flashing lights on and
But
off?
if it's just on, off, I'm not sure what that equates to in Morse code, but I don't think it means very much.
Maybe are they trying to say SOS? Is that what they're doing right
Well, that
now?
would be, what is that? That's three fast, three slow, three fast.
No, they're not doing that then.
No. So yeah, no. Yeah. The great build, guys. Great build. So the leader down. So I just want to make sure we get this straight. The elite got about 30 seconds to 1 minute on the go home show.
Yeah, it makes no sense. A lot of things that happened tonight kind of felt a little bit WWE-ish. And we'll get to that as well. But yeah, this just didn't sit right with me. And I was like, okay.
This
I was
could
like,
have been
okay,
phenomenal. This
it
could
could
have
have
been
been.
phenomenal if
Yeah.
they'd been allowed to cut their promos. And when was the last time the Young Bucks picked up a mic?
The funny part of that comment is that I was watching a show this week, a wrestling, I think podcast. I want to call it. Sure. It's called a podcast, and they were talking about ways AEW needs to fix itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things they actually mentioned, and I found myself agreeing with them where I thought I was not going to agree with them.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing storylines on being the elite,
Yeah, it's not a bad
building
idea.
stories, right? Because I was like, you know, yeah, maybe you're right. The Bucks and Omega, and they talk a lot on being the elite,
Mm-hmm.
but the majority of people don't watch being the elite.
Correct.
They watch Dynamite. So
Mm-hmm.
if they were to stop, say, you know what, maybe you guys need to stop trying to sell these stories on being the elite and do it in the ring, do it on the show, I'd be 100% on board with that. Because I just don't see these, like, I don't understand what's going on right
Right.
now.
Well, I mean, and we'll probably talk some about this Monday too, when you and I have a nice discussion about Kenny Omega appearing on the sessions this week.
Hmm.
But guys, I get it. You don't want to hog the spotlight. I mean, I
I know.
really believe this comes from a place of like almost too much humility from these.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. I mean, people, oh, they kill the business and they're so arrogant, blah, blah. I actually think that a lot of what you're seeing these days is them being almost too humble.
Yep.
It's like, guys, you're the reason I am into AEW
Hmm.
right now. That doesn't take anything away from all the phenomenal talent that is
Yep.
there. But the reason I got into it in the first place is because of the elite. I want to see them more. I want to hear them more. We haven't had any of those like really epic Kenny and the Bucks promos in ages. Ages.
Yeah.
All right. And we
Yeah.
know what Kenny can do because he did it in New Japan just recently.
Yeah.
So, like, guys, this is what you have the House of Black, who are cool on the mics. You've got the Elite, who are all good on the mic. And we got zero promos between them leading up to this match. Zero.
And that's it. Like you hit the nail on the head, right? It's like, Kenny, I get it. You guys have a great working relationship with New Japan.
Mhm.
Awesome. Your contracts are under AEW. And you're right. Maybe it is them being humble, right? But I'm still thinking, like, everything you just brought it up. And I was like, oh my God, that promo that Kenny cut on Will, that video that just appeared, and his closing remarks of, I remember what you did, and I'm coming after you. And I was like, oh my God, this
Mhm.
is so awesome, right?
Yep.
Oh, we've got nothing like that on AEW. And I don't know why. I just don't, it just doesn't make sense. And this is what we get, right? Just
Yep.
a 1 minute throwaway segment.
Yep.
So
Exactly. Yeah. Makes no sense.
no.
Well, then we get the Face of the Revolution ladder match between
Mhm.
Konosuke Takeshita, Santana, Komander, Action Andretti, Sammy Guevara, Powerhouse Hobbs, Eddie Kingston, and AR Fox.
Mhm.
There's a lot going on in this match to
Oh
start,
yeah.
but I will hit some highlights. So Komander, of course, highlights immediately. Komander nailed a rope walk drop kick on a ladder held by Action Andretti. But then Hobbs cleaned house to a huge pop because he's from Oakland, which is, for those of you who don't know, across the bridge from San Francisco. Guevara refuses to face Hobbs, but Takeshita takes him on. And after a series of really hard lariats to each other, with neither one will go down, Takeshita drops him onto a ladder, hits a deadlift German on Hobbs. Andretti hit a huge backflip to Guevara on the outside. AR Fox hit an explosion senton, but then Komander walks from one side of the ring to the other on the top rope and hits a top rope senton on everyone on the floor to a very justified holy shit chant. Sammy climbs a ladder almost unopposed because everyone else is fighting outside the ring until Andretti finally hits him with a ladder. But Sammy soon disposes of Andretti. Sammy sets up a ladder across the ropes to the standing ladder. If hopefully you can get that idea. But Komander takes him down and climbs up himself. Takeshita catches Komander. They fought a lot in this match and tosses him out, hits an over the top plancha. Fox then nails Hobbs with a chair on the apron. So Hobbs hits a Death Valley driver onto a ladder on the outside that was bridging between an outside ladder and the apron. Ow. Meanwhile, Sammy climbs the ladder unopposed again. He seems to be the only. I think even Taz mentioned it's like at least he's focused on what he's supposed to be in this match, which is winning it. But Andretti climbs up various ladders, finally reaching Sammy and delivers a Falcon arrow onto the ladder that made it look like Sammy's head was the only part of him that connected with the ladder. Komander then hit a running shooting star press to AR Fox, who was still lying on the outside ladder bridge. Then Komander goes for the ring, but Takeshita gets him and delivers a blue thunder bomb off the ladder. Takeshita goes for the ring now, but Andretti springboards onto the ladder and they fight. Then Daniel Garcia shows up and shoves the ladder over, beats up Andretti. Sammy and Garcia set the ladder up on chairs outside the ring. We are now informed, by the way, you'll notice there's two names I haven't mentioned once. We are now informed Kingston and Santana brawled all the way to the back and had to be separated.
Yeah, that's yes.
That's the entire involvement of Eddie Kingston and Santana in this match. Why they even put them in the match is beyond me. Why not just have a 6-person match? Anyway, Sammy goes off the top of a ladder now and swanton outside the ring, a really tall ladder, and swanton bombs Andretti on the ladder that was between the chairs. Sammy then goes up the ladder in the ring, but Takeshita dumps him, sends Garcia outside, does a power drive knee, climbs the ladder himself, looking like, he might even have this thing won. But Hobbs, who is apparently having a cigarette at ringside, shows up, dumps him, climbs up as the refs hold the ladder for him. Keep this in mind. The refs are holding the ladder for him, and he gets the ring. Takeshita is pissed, probably because the refs were not holding the ladder for him or anyone else climbing up the ladder. Hobbs did fuck all in this match, like all, and won the match. What did you think?
Okay, so despite the ending, I actually really, really thought this was a oh my effing god match, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I actually like had this at the top of my list because I was like, just you're right. You're right. That I was disappointed by the ending. I'm not gonna lie, because first of all, you're breaking kayfabe, like clearly breaking kayfabe. Go get another ladder. Who cares? Go out and get another ladder. Why are the refs holding ladders out? Yes, we see refs holding ladders all the time. We do. But you see them kind of off camera. There were 4 refs holding the ladder here.
Right. And usually if they're holding a ladder, it's because there's a big running spot coming on it or something like that. And they want to make sure the ladder doesn't keel over. It's more of like a real safety thing. I've never seen the refs hold a ladder for the guy climbing up to win the match. And multi them in the shot multiple times because they couldn't possibly keep them out of the shot. And you're right. They should have called an audible, gone and got a new ladder, something, or made sure there was a ladder at ringside that will hold Hobbs' weight as he climbs and make sure that ladder is the one that makes it to the middle for him to set up. All right, like, fine, take out Takeshita, grab that ladder that just happens to be lying conveniently there, set it up. Everyone else is dead outside, right? He climbs up and gets it. I would rather say, oh my God, was everyone dead than 3 refs to hold the ladder? Really?
Yeah, and that's a little bit like, I mean, that's the weird part about tonight, right? It's kind of, I liked a lot of the matches,
Mhm.
But some of them I just really didn't understand the finish to the match,
Mhm.
right? And this was another one where great match, like holy cow, like I thought Takeshita was gonna win this match, to be honest with you. I really did. Um, and these guys hurt themselves in this match.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my God, they hurt themselves. When Andretti's leg got caught on the ladder, I was like, did he just break his knee? Like, what the hell? But
Yeah.
luckily, he seemed okay. And he even
Mhm.
took that big bump outside as well from Sammy. Holy crap. Um, and I loved it. I loved every part of it. And then Hobbs won. And I'm like, what? What,
Yeah.
what the hell?
I even forgot he was in the match,
Same.
because I mean,
Same.
it was like
Same.
Takeshi. Okay, okay, let's back up. First of all, this was my match of the night, hands down.
Yeah, yes, it was also my match tonight.
I
That's why I had to
predicted it
preface.
would be yours as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah. That
So,
hey, I love this match. I love it. I just hate the ending.
yeah, precisely. The match itself was like there were so many moments. I'm like, oh
Yes.
my god, what the hell? And like, yeah, so and great showings from guys too. I
So
mean,
good.
Action Andretti was just everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, Komander, what a debut. I
Yes.
mean,
Debut. Exactly. You're definitely right. Like, I. You know what? I heard the name, and I remember we talked about that. I was like,
mhm.
because they were like AEW signed Commander. I was like, who the hell is
Well,
Commander?
they
Well,
haven't
now.
signed him. They put
Oh,
him in
sorry.
this match.
Yeah, they now we know who Commander is, and I love this Sammy and what's his name, Garcia, little love thing they got going on. It's so good. They're
Yeah,
like two best friends trying to help each other out. So much better than the Ty and Sammy thing they were going with, and it just worked. And then the ending just made no sense,
yeah.
absolutely no sense. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, to me, the star of the match was Konosuke Takeshita. That
Bro,
man,
that blue thunder bomb off the top of that thing.
yeah.
Holy crap,
Well,
right?
he went with all styles. I mean, that's what I
Mm-hmm.
love about
Mm-hmm.
him is that he fought everybody. He was fighting Komander, like he can fight against like a major luchador. And at the same time, did you see him go toe to toe with Hobbs? I mean, Sammy bails. And then, like that immediately, just the fact that Sammy bailed and Takeshita decided to stay in the ring, immediately that says Takeshita has guts,
Yes.
right? And then lariat for lariat with a guy Hobbs size, and then manages to beat him and deadlift him. It was so impressive to see Takeshita pull all that off. And then that sequence at the end, just before he went up the ladder in what I thought was going to be his victory
Same.
climb.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
And Hobbs dumps him in the crowd because it's the hometown guy. Cheers. I guess I should have realized it's the hometown guy.
When they
So,
said home,
and
when they
it's
said
AEW.
hometown, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great. Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean, it's not like I dislike Powerhouse Hobbs. I just don't think he deserved to win this match.
Oh, you mean Powerhouse Hobbs, who they built up so much for the past couple months, like well, not this month, and then put him on Dark and
Yeah, and had a
Elevation?
whole bunch of videos that
Yeah.
really didn't tell me much of anything about him other than he's from the streets.
Yes. This is the story of Hobbs.
Yes,
I'm
the
from the
story of Hobbs.
street.
He's from the streets. Well, so that
Thanks.
was the match. Both of our match of the night.
Yeah.
Really
Yes.
100% worth checking out. Great
Mhm.
match. Just ignore the ending.
Yeah.
Um, and especially, and even the ending. If Hobbs had climbed that ladder by himself and got in the ring, I don't think I'd be as pissed if it wasn't for the fact there was a whole crowd of
Yeah.
refs holding the ladder. I'm like, are you kidding me?
That
That looks
threw me off.
so
Yeah.
Bush League.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Hobbs looks at Joe. Wardlow comes out, and then Wardlow does what Wardlow does best, and he beats up
Beats
a bunch of
security.
security guards. Joe just leaves. So, Joe leaves. So, of course, Wardlow then has to power bomb a security guard, and somehow or other, he's not going to get criminal charges. He's
Where
not going to get
I was,
fined.
yeah, I was like, "Where's Mark Sterling? How come he's not
Yeah.
having a case against Wardlow?"
Why did this get a better build than the Elite and House of Black?
My assumption is because Tony Khan believes that the Elite and House of Black don't need a build. He's basing it on just those guys, right? I'm sorry, Wardlow's still falling pretty flat.
Yes.
In terms of like, oh, like should we be cheering for him? Because his promo kind of sucked.
Mhm.
Well, I should say his delivery kind of sucked. I shouldn't say his
Yes.
promo sucked. His delivery sucked. He comes out and you're right. All he does is beat up security guards.
That's his thing, man. He beats up security.
Like, uh, at least Lance Archer will just beat up random people and throw them into the ring and stuff like that. But like then he
Oh, he
doesn't
was
do.
great though.
Yeah, yeah, he was good on Rampage. But I mean, I just don't understand. They're pushing Wardlow to the moon again, and they're dropping the ball again. Because now I'm like, okay, so Wardlow wins the belt, but
Mhm.
then I want Hobbs to win the belt from Wardlow. I want Hobbs to beat Wardlow for
I
that
just
belt,
want
right?
Hobbs to win that
Yeah,
match. If Joe's not going to retain, I want Hobbs to win the
same,
match. I
exactly,
think Hobbs would be a
exactly.
much more compelling champion than Wardlow.
He's more he has more personality, even though they kind of bury him on Dark all the time.
Mhm.
Personality than
Oh yeah,
than Wardlow,
100%.
right?
I mean, we've
More,
made fun of his videos and stuff,
yeah.
but I find him far more interesting.
Hmm.
I mean, that's what I mean. Again, had he won that match tonight and it wasn't a bunch of refs holding it, okay, fine. Hobbs won the match. I mean, I see why they want him in the match, etc. I'm also just like, I'm a little pissy because Takeshita didn't win, and I keep wanting Takeshita to win something, you know, but yeah, I mean, I just, it, you can't just sell a match on the fact that we love the elite, therefore we're going to think the match is good. Like we still
Well,
want story, people.
and this is where what maybe we're placing a lot of the blame on Tony Khan. Maybe where it's not
Yeah.
lying on him, right? Maybe this is a choice that these EVPs are making,
It's
right?
quite that's what I said, right? I mean, we'll talk a bit about that on Monday when we talk
Sure.
about that
Yeah.
interview, right?
Yeah.
Because there were some indications in that. That's what I mean. Maybe you're being a little too modest,
Hmm.
guys. Maybe you're being a little too
Yeah.
modest.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, don't listen to Jim Cornette. Don't. Just don't. Well, we get Renee in the back with the best friends, Danhausen and Orange Cassidy. And Orange Cassidy has an ice pack on his ribs. And Renee says Trent and Chuck are not cleared to fight in the casino battle
Battle
royale tonight.
Royale. Yeah.
Danhausen says he and Cassidy can do it. And Cassidy just goes, ow.
Uh,
And Renee asks him if he's up for it. And Cassidy says, I don't care. And that was it.
and then they did the little
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, I think this was a segment where I think when Cassidy kind of said "ow," Renee kind of broke a little bit and she almost kind
mhm.
of giggled, and I laugh at that part too. Um, yeah, this is building to something I just don't care about at all. And I'm so sad Orange Cassidy is in the match, and we'll
Well,
get
he's
to
got
it.
the right partner.
Yeah, yeah, he does. Listen, I like Danhausen. He's funny. He's
Yeah.
the comedy I like now. Like he remember when he came in, we hated him so much, and
Hmm.
he's totally grown on us. He's just
Yep.
so friggin' hilarious. Um, I kind of hope they win, but anyways, we'll get to that. But yeah, this was okay. This is
Yep.
okay. Like I mean, sure, if those best friends can go, then these best friends can go,
Yeah.
right?
Oh. But then we get Chris Jericho taking on Pretty Peter Avalon. Avalon goes right after Jericho, including a tope suicida when Jericho bails to the outside. He beats on Jericho around the ring, delivers the back rake in the ring, a pump kick for two, springboard crossbody for two, and does a tornado DDT. But then Jericho hits a code breaker, and that's the three. He then gets a bat, takes down Avalon. So Ricky Starks comes out for Wrestling Save 101. He still needs to talk to Momo Watanabe though about bats and wrestling. Seriously, Jericho needs her bat. Jericho then gets a mic, says he's going to beat Starks at Revolution. Hager and Garcia jump Starks. The three of them beat him down, and this gets Hager a fuck your hat chant.
um, so I put this match actually at number 4 on my list because I said, I really appreciate Chris Jericho giving these guys a shot. You know what I mean? Like Avalon looked great in this match. Holy cow, he looked real until the end. Obviously, the quick code breaker win. He dominated this match. Like, and I appreciate the fact Chris Jericho's willing to go in there and let someone like Peter Avalon just show what he can do. And Avalon looked fantastic. I'm gonna give him that. He looked absolutely fantastic. So just on that, I was like, you know what? I got to put this as my number 4 because I was like, I just thought what Jericho did for Avalon, even though this is really just building the Ricky Starks match, was more than building the Ricky Starks match, right? So I put it at my number 4 spot.
Yeah, I have to go back and forth on this because it's either 5 or
Or 4,
4,
yeah.
right? Because I mean I there's some parts of the match that it's so hard for me. I'm gonna I'm gonna say 5.
All right, okay,
Yeah,
fair.
and simply because I think there was enough in my number 4 choice that I truly loved that it got over the parts that I truly didn't. So
Oh, okay, interesting. I
yeah,
want to hear what
yeah.
your number 4 is then. Okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay. It might be my number 5, right? So
It
we'll
might
see.
it might be your number 6. I have
Maybe
no
we'll see.
idea. So anyway, yeah, no, this was okay. And I mean the beatdown at the end was just, okay, great. It's their build for Revolution.
Yeah.
That was about it. It really was wrestling 101. So
Yeah. Just
yeah.
FYI, everyone listening. So far, not a great build to Revolution, but just
Yeah,
continue.
for the go home show, it's really paint by numbers here,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's yeah, it really was paint by numbers to this point. So yeah. Then we get well, except for John Moxley. I got to tell you, the John Moxley promo makes me want him to
Yeah.
kill
Kill Hangman.
Hangman. Like, that's right, man. It's your mountain. Stay on it. So yes, speaking of Hangman, we now get Hangman on a ranch because he does cowboy shit. So he talked to Dark Order, and Alex asked him if he was afraid of losing. And he says he had a shot at the AEW championship and he lost it. But Moxley can't take away his friends or memory or the feeling in the tips of his fingers because they're all gone.
All
The
right.
feeling in the tips of
Get
his
that checked out,
fingers.
man.
I know, right? So Sunday, he takes away everything from Mox, because, like, being the top of the food chain. But Hangman doesn't enjoy violence. He hates violence, but he will be violent. Beating John is the last glimmer of hope he has. The match is live or die, and he isn't done living. I can almost hear Eeyore's voice cutting this promo. Okay, John. Or okay, Hangman. Emo cowboy lives.
Yep. I love Hangman. Yeah, I've never once not stated I love Hangman. Except his promos are very weird. Either they're really awesome or they're really confusing. And this falls in the more of the confusing side of his promos. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
Hangman, what are you trying to say exactly? Come on. Let's just get it out. Like, what are you trying to say? And then he says it. You're like, so are you saying you're going to murder John Moxley? Is that what I'm hearing right now? Like, he's going to die, apparently? Because you guys had a fight? Like, I'm so confused right now. Texas death. I was like, okay. So yeah, I'm always just confused about his promos, but yeah, I like he's always back and forth, like, are the Dark Order's friends? Are they not? Like what's going on here? But yeah, I mean, I think Mox's promo did more than enough to kind of build this match. So this was kind of like a throwaway promo. I didn't really care
Yeah,
about
I mean, if he's gonna do Marvin the Paranoid Android, he should just own it.
it.
Like, John, why would I lie? Life's bad enough without making up more of it. Just own it. Own it. Anyway, we then get Renee, and the wrestling gods heard you because they heard you last week when you're like, I really wanted Christian to speak. They heard you because out comes Christian Cage and he makes it all the way to the ring and he
Mm-hmm.
insults San Francisco. And then he says, I embarrassed Jungle Boy for 6 months. But then I see Jungle Boy says in 2023 he's going to win a singles championship over my dead body because I'm going to win a singles championship. It's like,
This
what, they
guy.
both can't win singles championships in the same year. Anyway, he goes, Jungle Boy wins by quick pins. Doesn't he want to win with like a hard beatdown? No, because he failed last week and Christian took advantage of it and left Jungle Boy in a pool of his own blood and piss. Why does Jungle Boy want to win a championship? Not for prestige, but to show mommy, make memes, and get likes on social media. It's the problem with this whole generation. They treat wrestling like a video game, but Christian is one of one. He treats the business like an ATM machine, and he's not done milking it dry. He challenges Jack to a fight with no rules, and he says, if you show up, you're just your father's son, a no talent hack relying on good looks. You have no guts, grit, not an ounce of what I have inside. The lights go out then again because retribution is there. Oh, wait, it's Jungle Boy digging a grave. He got some tips from Darby Allin. They show a video comparing Christian hitting Jack with the concerto and Jungle Boy not doing it. It goes back and forth between the two scenes. And then you see a tombstone, not the wrestling move, an actual tombstone with Cage's name on it.
Yeah. And like Cage, I was confused. I was like, what? Are you challenging me to a buried alive match? What's happening right now? Or are you going to kill? Yeah.
It's a lot of death threats on
A
this
lot
show.
of death threats today. Yeah. Like some people are gonna go to jail here. Um like Christian Cage, obviously, amazing, right? I always have fun with Christian. Like when he started talking about his dad again, I'm like, oh my god. But then it then you have that Jungle Boy video, and again, it just fell flat. What were they going for? I get what like, and I get what they're going for. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
he's angry. He's gonna destroy Christian. Christian, this is it. I didn't get all of that from his, and they even they had a tear in Jungle Boy's eye that
Single
looked like someone
tear.
had put it on there, right? And I'm like, what is happening?
Oh,
I was like, who made this B movie over here? And that's it. Like
Darby Allin.
I had this like the expression Christian had in his face afterwards, like I had the same expression on my face. I was like, what
Mm-hmm.
is happening? And I was like, okay, sure. And all I kept thinking, go home show, go home show, go home show. What the
Yep,
hell?
exactly. Well, I mean, Christian's promo though,
It's
great.
good.
I loved it. He treats
Yeah.
I treat the business like an ATM machine, and I'm not done
Okay.
milking it dry. Oh no, yeah, I
He's
know.
so good. Even like, if you look like closely, everything he does, like Renee puts the mic up, he raises it higher, and he's
Yep,
just like shaking her head. Like he's
yep,
so good. Oh my god.
yep. Oh, I know. No, he's absolutely phenomenal. He knows all the little things to do and stuff, right? Like he's just got it down so much, and like the whole your generation is like this thing. Oh, I loved it so much. The video then was kind of like okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep,
All
that's
right.
fine. So you're going to try to be tough, but yay, Christian. And then we go to Tony Schiavone in the back with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. And Jamie says she's going to beat both Ruby and Saraya on Sunday. Um, Britt then says Tony will never have the belt, and they'll be watching Tony in her match tonight.
Yeah. Again, just building. It's like okay. You know when you want things to happen
Mm-hmm.
and things just don't happen?
Yes.
That's what this show felt like today,
Yep.
right? So I'm like, okay, a lot of
Yep.
talking, sure.
Well, yeah, exactly. Then we get Matt Hardy versus Hook for the FTW Championship. Now, in the prediction part of this show tonight,
Okay.
I said,
Okay.
I
Mhm.
said, first of all, I said this would probably be the worst match on the show.
Mhm.
Um, I secondly said that the person that was with Matt Hardy and Ethan Page and Isaiah Cassidy and crew was for some reason Mark Sterling. I don't know why I thought it was Mark Sterling. I clearly got their group confused with the Trustbusters. You know, Firm,
Yep.
Trustbusters. They're just
Yep.
kind of like Dark Elevation, Dark,
Yep.
um, teams. And yeah, so I was completely wrong. It is in fact Stokely Hathaway, not Mark Sterling. My apologies for sounding like a complete idiot during the pre-show. But anyway, I had the other players all right. But to turn to better things, oh my God, I love Isaiah Cassidy with Matt Hardy when he comes out and he does the Jeff Hardy part next to him on the stage. That is so good. Seriously. That was
Wait,
the
when he dances?
yeah,
Is
when
that
he comes out,
yeah.
he did it
Oh,
tonight, right? He came out,
yeah.
he's dancing next to him until Ethan Page comes on. Hey, stop that, right?
I love Isaiah Cassidy.
So good, so good. Anyway, so Hardy took Hook down at the beginning. Hook locks on a knee bar, throws Matt into the guardrail. Ethan that Page then throws Hook into the ring post when the ref is distracted. Back in the ring, Hardy hits the neck breaker. He goes for the deletion head smashes in the corner, but Hook reverses into a T-bone suplex. But Hardy reverses the follow-up into snake eyes. You get some back and forth between the two until Hardy hits the side effect for two. He goes for another side effect, but Hook reverses. Behind the ref's back, Stokely nails Hook with his cast, but Hook kicks out of the cover at 2. Hardy then goes for the twist of fate, but Hook reverses into what is the beginning of the red drum, and Matt taps out almost instantly.
Yeah, and then you see the smirk on his face because apparently Hook is getting
Yeah, it
Stokely,
means Hook now gets to fight Stokely Hathaway. Yes.
and I see Stokely rocking back and forth. Okay, so this match I actually put at number 5. I liked it. I thought, finally they didn't just give Hook a quick win. Like Hook is very talented. Good job with Matt Hardy. But overall, like I'm recently I've really liked seeing Matt Hardy in tag teams with like Isaiah Cassidy and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. And still, this Hook character still is not something I really care about still till today. I just don't care about this character. Right? I had a glimmer of hope in him and Jungle Boy were like gonna be a tag team, but then they're back to the FTW championship, and I don't care about this championship because it's not real, and no one cares about it.
Right.
AEW doesn't even treat it like it's real, right? So I didn't care about this match, and now he's going after Stokely because Stokely had pretended that he got him suspended because he of the arm, but the arm's not broken, and yeah, I don't know. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, we never hear Hook talk, so we don't
Yeah.
really know what he thinks or says about anything. So we just have to make a bunch of assumptions about why he's doing what he's doing. Yeah, this is like, in all honesty, the best part of this entire match for me was Isaiah Cassidy dancing on the stage with Matt Hardy. I didn't like, this match was like nothing to me, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
match itself was fine, but the story, I
Hmm.
don't care.
Hmm.
Like, the story's just like, it's just, he's going to get his hands on the manager, but I don't have one. He didn't have to go through enough stuff to get to the manager. If you're going to do the get to the manager match, you need to go through hell to get to that manager. The manager's got to pull crap upon crap on you. We
Hmm.
have to really care that you're going to get your hands on that manager because of all the crap he's put you through.
Yep.
Right, like
Agreed.
back, like the Bobby the Brain Heenan days or Jimmy Hart days or something, right? Where like guys to get their hands on them, it was almost impossible, right? Or they'd hide behind Andre the Giant or someone like that, right? Like it's that's what you need in that kind of story, and they're not doing that here, right? I mean, okay, it furthers this dark elevation slash dark story of Matt Hardy and his like little rebellion against
Hmm.
the firm, his subtle rebellion sort of thing. But unless you're watching all that content
Yeah.
carefully, you're not going to catch on to that watching this match either. Right.
Agreed.
So for me, I was just kind of like, your story fell flat to me. The in-ring storytelling fell flat to me. There was too much back and forth. Hook needs to learn to sell.
Hmm.
Like, he gets up
Hmm.
way too
That's
fast from stuff.
that's the problem. Yeah, he kicks out of everything and he gets up so quickly. And I'm like, so
Mhm.
all those side effects and stuff like that, you're getting nothing?
Yeah, nothing seems to affect the guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like he takes the moves, but then you can tell he's so inexperienced in the way he sells. And selling is just such a vital part of wrestling. It's like maybe the most important part of wrestling is the ability to make your opponent's moves look convincing,
Yeah.
right? Because nothing matters more than that.
Yeah.
Nothing. Right. And so he doesn't have that yet. And so
No.
his match falls flat, which is why this is my number 6 match,
Okay.
because I didn't like the way it was presented in ring either.
I can see
Right.
that. I can see that.
Yeah.
It's fair. Yeah.
Yep. It's not, again, I didn't hate the
Yeah.
match,
Yeah.
but there was a lot wrong with it.
Yeah.
So then we get the House of Black in the dark. They've gone backstage and then they hit their own lights and they're like, okay, so we're just going to stand here in these cool spotlights for a sec. And they say, Malachi says, the greatest enemy is not made out of flesh and blood, but out of fear. Fear eats away at the soul and forces loss. The titles belong to you, so we'll leave them here. But Sunday, you have already lost. And then they lay the titles down and leave.
I don't. Yeah. I don't know. Like I don't get it. I just
It's like
don't.
they've dropped the entire these guys are a problem angle. They've
Yeah.
just dropped it. It's
Yeah.
like, we're just coming after the titles. That's the whole story is, you have titles, we want them. Therefore, we are coming to get them. Hit the lights on our way in, please.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I don't know.
They had such a good idea to seed the story, and then they did nothing with it. Nothing. Zero. Less than zero. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I don't know.
yep. And then my screen froze briefly for some unknown reason, and I'm trying to figure out why. There we go. Okay, so then we get Toni Storm versus Riho. And Storm goes after Riho before Riho can even get her jacket off and then tosses her around until Riho comes back with a drop kick. The vast majority of this crowd was solidly
Mm-hmm.
behind Riho.
Mm-hmm.
She lands a running knee in the corner, but Saraya distracts her, though Riho easily comes back, rolling Storm up for two in a very cool pin. Then locked on a crossface that Storm seriously needs to learn how to sell. They point out Riho is 25 years old and has 17
15 years.
years of in ring experience. I am assuming this is the
This is what
comment
I was
that you
talking
were
about.
referring to.
I was
Yes.
like, what the?
Well, it's Japan.
I know. I know. But I was just every time they bring that stat up, I'm always like, that's insane. That's absolutely
Well,
craziness
it
right
doesn't
there.
necessarily mean that they're wrestling like full on
I know.
chairs
I
to the
know.
head wrestling matches, right?
Yeah,
I mean that
for
that
sure.
match that the girl wrestled against Kenny Omega was pretty damn safe.
That's very true. That's very
Yep.
true.
So anyway, Saraya distracts Riho again, and Storm hits her from behind, knocking her out. Where Saraya nails her with a running knee, knocking her out of the ring, not knocking her unconscious. Storm throws her into a ring post as Britt and Jamie finally make their way to ringside. Back in the ring, Toni locks on the WWE special rear chin lock while Riho shows her how to sell until she reaches the ropes. Storm tosses her around, including a snap suplex for two, and then the WWE special shoulder blocks in the corner and a full Nelson. No one can slow down a match like Toni Storm. Riho fights up from the full Nelson, but Storm slams her back down. Riho comes back through with the Hurricane Rana. She goes for the tiger feint kick, but Storm catches her, goes for the hip attack, but Riho moves and Storm falls to the outside. Riho then hits a diving cross body off the top to the outside. She tosses Storm back in the ring and hits the diving double foot stomp and a bridging Northern Lights for two. She goes up the ropes again, but Toni catches her, tries for the Storm, zero off the second round, and for a moment I feared for Riho's life. Riho then reverses and goes for a power bomb, but Storm holds on and just throws her by her hair, drop kicks her in the corner and hits the hip attack for two. She then mocks Britt and goes for a clover leaf, but Britt distracts her. Riho jackknifes her for the three. What'd you think
So
of the
I gave
match?
yeah, so I gave this match my number two match of the night because match of the night, number two match, just because I thought that Rio's showing was very good in this match. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. At least they're trying to build a story. Again, everything it did feel very WWE-ish, even with the minor distraction that occurred by Britt just standing by the rope. She didn't do anything. She just stood there, and that cost her the match. But Rio had a really good showing. I really enjoyed the fact that the fans were like just right behind her, like throughout the entire thing. Right, she gets the win. The right person got the win, right? And yeah, I liked it. Again, didn't love it, didn't think it did much at all. Then they had their stupid fight at the ending, which I didn't care about either, right? But I just thought overall, like I'm like, wrestling wise, I'm like, this was pretty good, pretty good. And you'll understand why I put my number six where I did. I'll be talking about that in a bit. But I was just like, yeah, this match is okay. This match is whatever, right? So I gave it my number two just because I thought Rio put in a really good showing, which she always does, I guess,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I love Riho.
Mhm.
It's probably no surprise to anybody. She's absolutely amazing in the ring. She's the reason this is also my number two.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, yeah. So, yeah, I really liked this match because of Riho
Okay.
and teaching Toni Storm how to sell things. Even in spite of the fact Toni Storm tried the rear chin lock, the shoulder blocks in the corner. I'm like, what the hell am I watching right now?
So
Like,
so
what
you
is
were
this move set?
the reason no the reason you that was the commercial break that she
Oh,
was
I,
doing all
I
that stuff. Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
but it doesn't mean you stop wrestling. Like I watch all
Yeah.
these commercial breaks where stuff happens, right? Like do you think that the ladder match just stalled
Nope.
during the commercial breaks?
Nope.
No, no, it did not. Okay. I can kind of tell, oh, like you want stall during the commercial breaks. We'll get to that in the rumble. But
Oh God.
but no, this was a pretty good match. I mean, it's mainly because of Riho.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and
Right.
Toni Storm didn't suck in it either. I mean, when
No.
she got her stuff off, she got it off pretty well. I mean, I'm being kind of like mean or facetious when I'm talking about like the WWE stuff, but I just don't like it slowing down like that. There's ways to do that kind of stuff where it looks convincing right? And it doesn't look like you're just sitting or in something. Like when Riho locked on the crossface, I was kind of like, Toni's doing nothing. She's just lying there in the crossface.
Yeah.
Like, sell it. Jesus Christ. Anyway, selling people, it's an integral part of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But after the match, Storm attacks Britt, but Baker throws her into a guardrail, leaving Jamie and Saraya to fight it out. But then Ruby joins them and attacks both, and then all three brawl until the ref splits them up. And for some reason, they play Ruby's music because Riho got about 2 seconds of her music at the end of the match. I mean, I don't get it. Riho won the match. Shouldn't they be playing Riho's music out, even if people want to brawl stupidly in the ring after?
They should, but this is AEW we're talking about here, right?
Right.
Like they don't care about that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Like I mean, I know they're trying to make me care about this match, but there are a lot of matches on this card that I don't know, man. I just don't know, right?
I know. I
So
know.
this is the first time I'm going into like an AEW pay-per-view where I'm like, yeah, it seems okay, right? Like I'm not excited about it, but
Solid
like,
B minus. Thanks,
yeah,
guys.
yeah. So yeah, again, a build that I'm just not too excited about. So
Yep.
yeah,
No, I agree with you because like I don't want Saraya to win the belt.
no,
I don't have a reason to care about Ruby Soho.
no,
I like Jamie Hayter a lot, but I'd like to see her in like a really good, solid one-on-one match with a really high quality opponent built properly,
yep,
right? Like for instance, if she had to fight Britt Baker one-on-one, that would be pretty great.
yeah, it would be.
But they decided they're not going that direction, at least for the time being. So, okay, fine, whatever. So, you know what would have been great? Jamie Hayter and Riho.
Yeah, it would have, but
Or Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida
yes,
again. That I could watch them fight over and over again. But anyway, yeah, this was whatever. Just give the poor girl her theme music when she wins matches. Then we get Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes in the back, and they're delivering a message to the Mogul affiliates. They don't play games. They're naturally limitless, and the others will remember their name.
So are they fighting together in a tag match?
Yeah,
Is that what's
apparently,
going on?
because they are now naturally limitless,
Actually,
right?
let me
Yeah.
list. Like when Keith Lee appeared last week, I was like, did he dye his hair blonde or is he going gray? I couldn't tell what it was. So I was like,
He's trying to match
sure.
Dustin Rhodes, okay? They're tag team
I guess.
partners now.
Oh, yeah, they are tag team partners. So yeah, I don't care about this again. These are things I don't care about. They keep bringing it up. Like I'd rather just see these guys wrestle, see what they can do. I want to see Keith Lee, and Swerve like actually fight each other. Are they fighting in the pay-per-view?
Wait, hey, I have an idea. What if they made Swerve and Keith Lee a tag team?
Oh my God, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That would be really awesome. I think they'd be a great tag team.
Can they beat up Parker Boudreaux and Trench?
That would be. Why don't they just beat up Dustin Rhodes, Parker
Yeah, just
Boudreaux, and the
throw
other
him
guy?
in
Just
there
kill
too.
them all and get back together. That would be pretty great. I'd be down for that.
Where's QT Marshall when you need him the most?
I know, right? I know. That's what we're missing. We need more QT on this show. Well, then we get to what, by process of elimination, is Krishna's number 6 match on the night.
So Bill,
Yeah.
when you said, I can't find anything about this match and who's in it, did it mean that, hey, we're just gonna use everyone we used last week in the same match over again?
Well, that's what I discovered, right? Because then I went, okay, so before the pre-show, I went to the graphic and I'm like, okay, so I found all the tag teams on the graphic. And I'm like,
Mm.
but did they just use last week's graphic? I'm like, what's going on here? Right. So it turns out it was the exact same tag teams as last week. So it's
Oh my
just all the
God.
same tag teams getting a second chance, basically, except for they added in the Blackpool Combat Club and of course we get Danhausen and then we also have the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll run through this quickly, and then we can discuss this match. So Dark Order and Blackpool Combat Club are first. Blackpool Combat Club ambushes Dark Order on the ramp because that's how you do it, and it's on. They brawl around the outside. The match hasn't actually started yet. All four finally get in the ring, and the bell rings, and they fight. And then Faccion and Ingobernable is next, and they fight. And the Lucha brothers are next, They get a huge pop. Ray enters the ring. This is when finally I think we start to see some stuff happening in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Ray enters the ring with a springboard crossbody. Penta hits slingblades. I mean, the crowd is on fire
Yeah.
for these guys. They are going nuts for everything the Lucha Brothers do. Roosh goes for Penta's mask to massive boos. Claudio keeps almost eliminating Ray to massive boos. Aussie Open comes out next with their huge United Empire logo in the background. I'd like to point out. And this time they're announced as being from New Japan Pro
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling.
I know.
Mm-hmm. They nail Ray with a double team knee as soon as they get in. Dark Order then has a huge double team sequence on Yuta, doing that, that sequence they like to do in their matches. But Claudio saves him from elimination. And with a little help from Aussie Open, the Blackpool Combat Club eliminates both members of Dark Order, and then they roll outside and beat them down on the outside too. The JAS comes out next. Oh, by the way, first of all, I'm just going to stop there for a second. This was a casino battle royal. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Casino rules are you have the 4 suits and a joker, and people come out based on their suits in groups.
Yep.
Yes, that's how they've always done casino everything. People come out in suits.
Correct.
Right? This was a Royal Rumble rules thing. I mean, countdown next team, countdown next team, countdown next team. If they're going to do that, that's fine. But don't call it a casino, because it wasn't.
Bill, you forgot the most important thing about professional wrestling. They don't follow their own rules ever. Right? The podcast I was talking about, they joke about when something like that happens, they'll be like, wait. Let me pull up my WWE rule book. And they'll go to the rule book, and it's always something contradicting something else. And you're like, why have rules in the first place if you're gonna do this, right?
Yeah, this wasn't a casino battle royal.
No.
It was a battle royal. That's fine.
That's
it's just a staggered entrance battle royal, which is fine. Lots of companies do them. Nothing wrong with that. Just call it that in the first place. Anyway, to go back to the match, these extremely staggered things where sometimes people were coming out back to back and sometimes it was like 5 minutes later. But anyway, the JAS comes out next as Aussie Open and the Blackpool Combat Club fight in the ring. Roosh goes after Ray's mask now. Top Flight then comes out. They wreck the Blackpool Combat Club and almost eliminate Claudio, then do eliminate Daddy Magic. The Kingdom comes out next. Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. They go to work out on Top Flight until Aussie Open takes them down. The Trustbusters come down and they pull the Lucha Bros out and beat on them at ringside, though the announcers never called them the Trustbusters. So I'm wondering if they're even being called that anymore. They are then immediately eliminated in the ring by LFI to a chorus of boos. Top, meaning the Lucha Brothers were after they were beaten down on the outside. Top Flight then eliminates both members of LFI in quick succession. Aussie Open and Top Flight go at it. Dante goes for a nosedive, but Davis pushes Dante off the top rope to the floor. It looked like an awful crash. And Fletcher then flips Darius out. And there goes Top Flight. Danhausen and Cassidy come out next. Cassidy tosses out Cool Hand Ange, and the Butcher and the Blade come out. Aussie Open gets the Kingdom to accidentally kick Maria on the apron, and then they eliminate them. But then the Blackpool Combat Club tosses Aussie Open out all of a sudden because they simply weren't paying attention anymore. They were enthralled looking at the Kingdom on the floor and forgot they were in a professional wrestling. Orange Cassidy then fights with Claudio. Dark Order distracts the Blackpool Combat Club, and Orange Cassidy eliminates both of them one after the other. The final 2 teams then are the Butcher and the Blade, who everyone's hyping up as this amazing team that does really well in battle royals, and Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. So they try to throw Cassidy over the top in what was actually kind of an amusing spot, but Danhausen sneaks up behind them and tosses out the Butcher and the Blade. And the team that better win the tag team championships wins the battle royal. Let's start with the battle royal before we get to the after part.
It was a little messy, this battle royale. First of all, again, I don't care what they call it. Whatever it is, what it is. A Royal Rumble, right? Tag team Royal Rumble. But very messy. There were points where I get it. Listen, I love tag team moves. I love when they're showing tag team moves. But when everyone else is just like sitting there, pretending they're hurt, watching it, you're like, oh, everyone is down right now. Every single person is down.
That's right.
And then like when you're right, like when you were saying like the 3 first teams come out and they just fight. There was some messiness here. Like it seemed like Roosh and Vance didn't know who to go after, and when they did, like moves were just like, I'm not sure if you caught like the Irish whip that was supposed to be from the ropes, but then it got changed to on the ropes, and I was like, what is happening, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of like messiness. Again, I think the biggest thing about this is it's building to a match no one cares about, right? I thought, wow, we're gonna have all these other tag teams now vying
Mm-hmm.
for a spot, and it was the same tag teams, mine plus a couple new ones, but the same ones, which kind of threw it off a bit for me. And I'm like, okay, sure. Like I just don't like this match. It's being built. And I just don't like that this was the final match of the night. Like I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? We're putting
Yep.
this like, well, first of all, when we get to the segment, I was like, this is how the show's ended. This is it. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
god. But yeah, this match is my number 6 just by default. It just didn't do anything for me. And just like you said, Aussie Open once again just thrown away like nothing. Right? They did some cool moves and then bam, out. And
Yep.
you're like, oh, that's a okay way of using them, I guess. Sure.
Right.
But I just wasn't really impressed with this match.
Yeah. This match, the one I'm talking about, was like some of it. I'm like, oh man, that was pretty cool and stuff, right? I mean, you got like good sequences again with
Mm-hmm.
Top Flight and Aussie Open,
The
and
Lucha
like I was
Brothers, yeah.
really impressed with the way like during most of the match, like they lasted longer this time
Mm-hmm.
and got a lot more stuff in, right? And they showed a little more of their tag team ability, which I enjoyed. Dark Order had a good showing too when they were briefly in the ring, and I liked the Blackpool Combat Club's inclusion here, and seeing Claudio go at it with some guys, and
Mm-hmm.
Roosh is going after the mask. So they were trying to tell little stories here and there in amongst everything, right? That was the good stuff. But then there was the bad stuff. And the bad stuff was you'd forget how many teams were still in the ring because so many of them were just kind of doing nothing, like you pointed out. There was a lot of, like I said, they fight and then they fight. And it's like, okay, there's not much going on in this ring right now, right? And this is supposed to be your main event of the evening. The ladder match really should have been on last.
Yes.
Yeah.
100% should have
Yeah.
gone last.
Because this was okay. I mean, it's okay enough for my number 5 spot on the evening. All right. I still liked it better than the hook match.
Mm-hmm. Fair,
So,
fair, yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it was what it was. It was messy. Messy is a good word for it. It
Mm-hmm.
just felt kind of messy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Lethal and Jarrett jump in. Jarrett delivers a stroke on Cassidy. The Acclaimed runs out. Well, their screens hit. Then they run out, and then their music hits for 2 seconds, about as long as Riho's music went off at the end of her match. So then the Acclaimed jump in and do save number 173 from the wrestling playbook, and that's about it. So we're getting Jeff Jarrett and we'll talk about this in our preview show for the pay-per-view, of course. So we're getting this wonderful four-way match for the tag team titles. I said in the pre-show, and we'll see if you agree, because I said you'd likely agree with this. Any of the 8 teams, take any 4 of them from tonight's match in the Royal Rumble, in the Casino quotes Battle Royal, any 4 of those teams that we had in that match, and you'd have a better match than what we're actually getting.
Yeah, I agree.
Any of those 4,
Yeah,
or any of those 8.
True.
Give me like the Kingdom, Top Flight, Lucha Brothers, and Aussie Open.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have Dark Order, and then you have like any of those guys, like
any
it's
of them,
just
LFI, right? Like
yeah.
any of them. They're all better than the 4 that we've got. Even if you gave me, because I was also talking about when the best friends were still in the match, right? I mean, but give me Orange Cassidy and Danhausen in a match with 3 of the teams that were in that.
Yeah.
And it's better.
I agree.
Anyway. Yep. So I was about to think that the show was completely over, and I looked at the time. I'm like, wait a second. And then they go, we're going to have a special look at MJF and Danielson, which I totally forgot about.
Same.
Yeah. I thought the show was over. Then we get a recap video with interviews, announcers mixed in. I'm like, are they going to do a video for 10 minutes? And then they didn't. And then we get Bryan Danielson in the ring with Renee. And Renee brings up a 2014 post from MJF where he's dropping out of college to pursue his dream of being a professional wrestler. And Danielson says, 7 years ago, I was forced to retire. 2 years later, I came back and said, if you fight for your dreams will fight for you. So MJF's music immediately hits, cutting Danielson off. the announcers act like MJF was not billed on the show and was not on the graphic that was posted on the AEW official sites,
Yep.
etc., for the show. What's he doing here? But then Danielson just tells him to shut up because we've heard him for weeks say how he deserves what Danielson has, but MJF has done nothing to earn it or fight for it. He's taken every shortcut to become world champion. He hasn't fought for it. If there's one thing MJF deserves, it's his fiance leaving him. He goes pinning shoulders to mats and banging rats. Isn't that what you said? That's not someone I'd want my daughter to marry. And then MJF is pissed, pulls off his jacket, and Danielson's like, want to fight? Come and fight. I've been fighting my whole life. Poverty, depression, head injuries, shoulder injuries, retirement, authority. I fought for everything. Before I came here, I had a job that would have paid me for the rest of my life, but I left it and came to AEW because I wanted to fight. And my new dream is to become AEW World Champion. And God damn it, I'm willing to fight for it. So you better be ready to fight with everything you have for 60 minutes. And if you don't, you are going to get your fucking head kicked in. And this place erupted. And MJF left.
Yeah, so they blanked out the on TV. They blanked
Oh
out him
yeah.
saying,
I
yeah.
got it full on. Like,
Because
whoa, man, they put
I
this
was
right
like,
through.
what? Because they played like the screams and the screams. I'm like, what did he just say? Like,
Oh
I know
well,
he dropped
now
the F
you
bomb.
know. Yeah.
I know he dropped the F bomb, but I didn't know what else he said. I like this promo, but by Danielson. Like I've always said that, right? Like he's so good on the mic, and I'm so happy they cut MJF off, and they like he didn't get to talk at all. Like he said nothing. He just like Danielson just almost shut up, and he calls him out about the breakup. And apparently, the breakup is true.
No,
I
it
didn't
is
even
true.
realize
Yeah.
it's very true.
Mm-hmm.
And Danielson, isn't this is what you always say? Like pitting shoulders to the mats and banging rats.
Mm-hmm.
I never want my daughter to be with you. I was like,
Yep.
damn, he's hitting him where it hurts here.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this, but I was so shocked it ended the show because yeah, cool. I didn't know if I felt it was the biggest build in the entire world because we've had this already. Like Danielson already went through the gauntlet. He's ready to fight. Max had a good showing a couple weeks ago, but I'm like, it was really weird. I'm not used to AEW ending on talking segments, right? So I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's the graphics come up, it's ending. Oh, okay, but I really
Yeah.
did like Danielson's
Oh,
promo.
yeah. I mean, to me, this was his best promo out of the entire build. I
Hmm.
think that this sold it for me better than anything else they could have done. He went right after MJF
Hmm.
where it hurts. He shut MJF up.
Hmm.
Right. I mean, hey, MJF's the one who brought up the breakup with his
He did.
fiance as a
He did.
weapon to use on Danielson.
Hmm.
Danielson only used what he'd been given.
Yeah.
So,
Fair.
if you're going to bring it in, he can use it too. So,
Yep.
yeah, no, I loved this promo. I actually was like, man, this is awesome. Right. And just the way he ended it, I was just like, dude, like, how can you not? And I mean, the crowd exploded. I mean, how can you not want this dude to just beat the living shit out of MJF on
Yeah.
Sunday? Seriously. It. So I really liked that.
I agree.
Is the whole build for this thing perfect? Hell's no. I mean,
No.
MJF has been, as I said in the previous comments, like I said, I'm not really hyped for an MJF Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson segment tonight. I think they're just ready to go. I feel like Krishna will probably feel the same way.
Same. Yeah. Same.
So yeah, that's kind of was my impression going in. And at least I gotta like I'm just glad they gave Danielson a lot of mic time
Yeah.
because he
Agreed.
delivered. And I didn't have to listen to MJF, so it's a good night. I
Yeah.
mean, that
I
was
agree.
that was great. He just left like a little wounded puppy with his tail between his legs. So now I can watch Bryan Danielson beat the living tar out of MJF for 60 minutes and watch
Mhm.
MJF cheat to win. Because do I really think Danielson's winning the title Sunday?
No.
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 He should win the title Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not going to
No.
anyway. And that, people, was AEW Dynamite tonight. Was anything on this show at the Omega level?
No. Not even close.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. There was no match on this show that I would even put at the 4 star or higher
Yeah.
point. Everything on it was under 4 stars,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, nothing on this show is Omega level. Um, Danielson's promo is probably getting close. Mox's promo is probably getting
Yeah.
close. I mean, these two guys are masters, right? I mean, both of those promos I thought were really good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Hangman's was just funny.
Yeah. Confusing.
Emo
Yeah.
cowboy. And yeah, there was some wrestling.
Yeah.
And there was a really good ladder match.
Oh yeah, yeah. That ladder match was fantastic. It was.
Yep.
I think it's the ending that threw us off a bit. That's why.
Hmm.
But man, those guys gave it their all.
Right. But as a go home show,
Not good. Not
yeah,
good.
I mean, it didn't do anything. It didn't make anything seem bigger than it had before the show.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it made things seem slightly cooler than they were
Yeah.
before the
Less.
show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, not the
Agreed.
best go home show in the universe, but yeah. Well, we do have a pay-per-view this Sunday, which of course means that we will be back much earlier than Monday. So,
Yep. That's right.
yep, because we will be predicting and reviewing that show as well. So,
That's right.
but for now, as the great one always says, when, the lights are not going out in his face and he gets laid out to cartoon violence noises on the stage. Goodbye, everybody. Mwah, and good night. Bang.
Good night, everyone.